Welcome to Rev Shots, your weekly dose of quick hit wisdom, where we tackle the most pressing topics of the day for ourselves and our revenue teams. Our show features expert guests with decades of experience. We delve into what works and why, sharing tools to be unapologetically successful, from making our number to delighting our clients. If you're ready to boost your knowledge in under 30 minutes on a weekly basis, tune in. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest features. Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday. It is, believe it or not, May of 2025 already. It's a blink of an eye. Here we go, right? We are on episode 64 of Rev Shots. And as you all know who have been listening, whether live or afterwards, our show, the purpose of our show is to give go-to-market teams the quick hits of wisdom that we all need to keep momentum going, to increase the engagement for our teams, and quite frankly, make our number and be successful, whatever that looks like at the end of the day. So super excited to have Gail join us today. And again, episode 64. Gail, thank you for joining today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be in the top 100.
Absolutely. I'm excited you are as well. So our paths crossed numerous times and I'm so excited. I love what you do. I love what you're a part of. And so tell us a little bit about you, your background, and then we'll talk a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm the head of revenue enablement for Headway, which is a company in the mental health space. We are a rapidly growing company. We're on track for a 71% growth this year. I know it's crazy. So when we talk about top of mind, sometimes it's just keeping ahead of that growth curve is pretty aggressive. Right. But I've been in enablement for about 10 years. I started off as a seller, went into sales management, did a little freelancing as a VP of sales for hire, which ended up being enablement. We just didn't call it that.
Correct.
And then really codified this role within the last 8 years. And I've led a couple of fast growing teams and I'm just very committed to the profession. I love talking about it and I love making sure organizations know how to get the most out of their enablement team. You have this huge asset, this amazing asset, and so many companies just kind of treat it like an afterthought instead of the strategic partner that enablement really is.
Yeah, you know, Gail, so many questions with that, and I agree with you on that. I think one of the things we're facing today is we have so many roles, so many responsibilities, so many tools, again, so many resources that sometimes as a leader, we may not know how to appropriately bring our team together. And that's kind of what I hear you saying is if I have this enablement team, how do I use it appropriately? If I'm a leader, and if I am on the enablement team or any team for that matter, how do I interact with my leaders to help shape a solution that brings out the best in our organization at the end of the day? Right?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. Absolutely. And it's, you know, enablement is not new. It's still a newish profession, but we're not the new kids anymore.
No.
And yet I talk to enablement professionals every week who say, well, we're the last line of defense. We're brought in too late. We're asked too much. The deadlines are too aggressive. We're not getting a seat at the table. And so that's why I continue to do, pieces like this where I can help teams fight the good fight.
Yeah. Oh man, I hear you. I hear it too. And so we're gonna pause that moment for just a second because I feel like we can talk about that for our entire show. And I agree with you on that. The caveat, the asterisk I'll put there is I think so much of what we're seeing with that inertia and the friction is because it's a change management thing. And we don't do that well as humans. So talk a little bit about, I love what your company does. And 71% growth is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about Headway.
Oh, thank you for asking. I'm so passionate about it. Headway's in the mental health space. So we are a three-sided platform that is connecting providers and patients and payers in order for more people to access mental health care using their health insurance. So we have a crisis of not having enough providers that will take insurance. We have patients who want to see therapists, but they can't afford the out-of-pocket costs. And by the way, that's why we have insurance.
Right.
And we have insurance companies who want this because mental health care has been proven to lower the overall cost of care. And so Headway's mission is to work with insurance companies to get great rates for our providers and become the single source of truth for our providers in booking their calendars, holding their meetings, communicating with their patients, and billing. So ultimately, they have a more successful, consistent revenue stream without having to do all of the deep lifting that comes with insurance.
Yeah.
We work with them on getting credentialed. We work with them on multi-state credentialing.
Wow.
We help them optimize their profile so they get more patients and they can be found more easily, and they can really build into their specialties.
Wow, that is amazing. On so many levels. So what are some of the big, not even big, but like, what do you think is attributing to the growth or lack thereof? Because to your point, I think we all want this and we all need this at the end of the day, in some way, shape, fashion, or form. So what do you see as ways to increase the adoption of mental health across the trifecta that you support?
Yeah, I mean, we of course feel like we're a huge part of that, of being able to offer patients an opportunity to use their health insurance and the benefits they're already paying for to get the care that they need.
Yeah.
I think we saw a massive shift in the last 10 years, especially during COVID, in kind of the societal feelings about therapy. That people are more willing, our millennials, our Gen Zs are much more willing to say, I'm going to go see a therapist. The stigma has gone down. It's not gone, but it's definitely gone down.
Yep.
And I think our mental health professionals have become more outcome driven. And that's what the insurance companies are asking for. And honestly, it's what patients should be asking for.
Yes.
And so that combined is really a perfect storm to get more people into therapy.
I love, again, everything you're saying. There's so many thoughts right now. I agree with you. So we were at a point in time where we had one of our children go to therapy. And I asked the therapist and I said, one, I'm a bottom line entrepreneur, outcome driven. I was like, what's the program? Right. So a little bit of the get in, fix it, get out. Right. Like, so I think there's a little bit of alignment that comes with it where maybe therapy is an ongoing motion we do, right? I go periodically. I've got colleagues that go periodically. And sometimes it's like, hey, I just need this objective third party to talk with, which is, I think, okay. I think like as my child was going through some motions, I was like, what is a program, right? Because what we want to do is not get through it, but build and equip with tools to cope at the end of the day. It's one thing to identify I have a problem, and which we should do because we can't tame what we can't name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's power in forward, like you were saying, in momentum and progress, where just because we name something doesn't mean we stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit more about that, where we know that therapy isn't a one and done, right? This isn't a fast food drive-through, but there also should be this momentum and progress. So like, how are you talking with folks about that? I guess in general, in working with the providers, but then to kind of segue into what you're doing, like how are you talking with your teams about it internally, if that's even a topic?
I think it is, and it's interesting, our platform is to connect patients with providers. We are not providers. We are not therapists. But ultimately, we also want to be a conduit for therapists to connect with others, to build out a community of best practices. I said something to somebody recently about the Headway user group event, and they said, when is that? And I said, 2027, I'm hoping. And they kind of laughed. Like, it's not on the books, but eventually that's the goal, is to build a community of the best providers across the country and have them share ideas, have Headway be the single source of truth for them, not just to run their business, but learn how to run a business. Because they didn't go to business school. They didn't go to school to learn to do this. Right? But all of a sudden, if you're going to run a successful business, you need to know those things. And so, expanding mental health care is also expanding the business outcomes. And how do we help our community be great solo providers, be great group providers, be great prescribers, and run it as a business and be able to have that support system that lets them do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We are all so much better together, Gail. And sometimes we forget that when we're in a remote working environment. And right, my dogs are not great conversationalists. So I wish they were, right? But yeah, it's just not happening. So with that, what the question we ask everybody that comes on the show is, what is the number one topic you're hearing right now? If we had to think about a theme, what is it you're hearing, and what is your team doing to address it? What is the organization doing to address it? How is it being addressed to be solved?
Yeah, that's a hard question to ask because there are so many themes in revenue enablement, right? We're working from one end to the other of the bow tie. The biggest focus we have had as a team since the end of last year is actually a company principle, which is we call BFF, and it's not best friends forever. It's actually better. It could be, but it's actually better, faster, fewer. And
Ooh,
so we are trying to index to the idea of mental load is real. Cognitive load is real. How do we
yes.
make sure that we're providing modalities in the way that folks can come in and absorb them well? How do we give opportunities for practice? Because adults don't learn by coming into live sessions.
Yeah. We just
They
lost.
learn.
It's so weird. I don't know. Tech glitches.
Yes. So adults don't learn by coming to sessions. That's 30% of the learning process. The other 70% is practicing and application and all of the things that adults need to really deeply understand. Yeah, let me switch cameras. That'd be
I
awesome.
guess
Okay,
so.
let's do it this way. That's why we have redundancies. That's what you learn in enablement. Always have redundancy.
Right?
So yeah, so the biggest problem we're tackling really is BFF. How are we making sure that we are providing information in the flow of work? This idea of just-in-time learning, it's not new. It's become
Right.
amplified.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that now we have AI to help us do it even more so that during a call, a rep can see notes on the side. They can say, here are the next discovery questions. Here is like information that they need to know about regulations in the state of Nevada for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like those are
Right.
things that we want at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And so they learn less information and they learn and practice more skills.
Yeah. I think it bears repeating. Say that part again and maybe go a little bit deeper on adult learning theory. And literally, adults are all kinesthetic learners. We have to learn by doing. So, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to index more into, I don't want to bring 147 sellers into a live session for an hour and talk to them. That's
Correct.
not a good use of anybody's time. And
Mhm.
so can we do an e-learning or a video or a Confluence page ahead of time that says, here's what we're going to be talking about. Here's a new talk track.
Yeah.
Here's right. And then you're going to come, and instead of having an hour session, we're going to have 3 20-minute sessions. And you can come to one, you can come to all 3. But they're practice-based, very application-based, and they're opportunities for folks to hear each other, to get comfortable, to practice, to kind of meet the moment. The more we can do that, the better.
Yeah.
And we're also training our learners, right?
Yep.
So we talk a lot about like, what is the behavior we want to change, or what is the obstacle we want to remove?
Correct.
And so when it's the behavior we want to change, if it's a skill, this is how we're going to change it. If it's
Yeah.
just information, you
Yeah.
you don't need me to come in a room and read it to you. You are an adult. I
Right.
can send it to you. I can record a great video. But the gap between that and how you apply it, that's where enablement really shines.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And so, what does that also look like from an accountability reinforcement perspective? So, are you training the leaders or enabling the leaders? What does that look like for you? And what do you think is a best practice for that?
Yeah, we are firm advocates of leaders go first,
Yeah.
or leader first look. So we are looking at train the trainers because ultimately the accountability and reinforcement has to sit with those frontline managers. We're going to give them the tools.
Yeah.
We're going to give them the coaching guides and the stand-up activities. but ultimately they're the ones working directly with these 150 team members. And our team is small. I mean, I met with an enablement pro the other day. It was 1,100 on their team. Exactly the same strategy. This scales up and down.
Yeah.
So that also, it's good for the team leads. It's good for the leaders to be the experts there, to be doing the coaching, because then their teams learn to rely on their expertise. They learn where to get the information. They practice the skills.
Yeah, I love all of that. What do you see as ways to make that work really well?
So two things. One is a manager coaching program, is really to say, and we have a program we call Leader Shift, shifting leadership.
Nice.
And that's, 4 total hours a month with all of our frontline leaders. And every month there's a topic. And the goal of that is to recognize, just because you're a manager doesn't mean you ever learned how to manage.
Correct.
You've learned how to manage based on who managed you. And maybe they weren't a great manager. And so we're really getting to the core skills of what makes a good manager, what makes a good coach, what's the difference between managing and coaching. If you can truly empower your managers with that, that's the multiplier effect. That goes all the way through your organization. And we've seen massive adoption and uplift in these programs where managers have been able to come in to group sessions or even private coaching sessions and be really vulnerable and say, like, I don't know how to get the performance. I don't know how to get what I need my teams to do outside of nudging and nudging and nudging. And that does not work. If you've raised kids, that's not going to work. That's not that's not how we get performance. And so being willing to teach the same thing, the skills, to the managers before we set them off to say, okay, now you need to carry your portion of the water in these programs. We've given you the skills on how to do that.
Yeah. So what does that look like too, Gail, to your point of revenue, of enablement having the proverbial seat at the table, right, to solve this particular problem? Because you and I both know there's organizations that are great at adopting certain things, and there's organizations that aren't, and that's normal.
Yeah.
I use that term very loosely. So what has been kind of the adoption curve within Headway for that? And how did you maybe get to where you are now? Or what were some key motions that needed to happen in order to get your managers aligned into your manager shift? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a fabulous culture at Headway, and that comes from the top. And so I was very fortunate to inherit a robust program with a great deal of respect within the organization. That's not always the case.
No.
So I would say, if you're in an org where you don't have that, where you are being asked to be reactionary, the first thing you need to be able to do is what I call speak CRO. You need to learn to understand what is the business outcomes that the business needs you to drive, and only talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, they don't care about your modalities. They don't care about Kirkpatrick. I love you, Kirkpatrick, but they don't care. They don't. So when you come in and talk about that and how many people came to the session and the sentiments and all of that, they don't care.
No.
You need to make the case of, here's why the sentiment matters. When I have an 83% confidence score,
Correct.
that is tracking to this metric in Gong, which is showing me faster deal conversion, which is tracking to a bottom line number. So it doesn't say the sentiment is useless. It's very useful. You just have to connect the dots, and you have to do it in a way that is punchy and outcome driven. And when you do that, you get more of that seat at the table. And then what happens is, when you're at that seat at the table, then you start talking about more proactive initiatives.
Correct.
Like, hey, I was meeting with Rev Ops, and I'm seeing a real gap in our stage 1 to stage 2 progression. 3 ways we might attack this would be blah, blah, blah. If you come to the table with that, you will always get the attention.
Yeah.
If you're waiting, if you're passive, if you're not confident making those leaps, then you need to get coaching from your RevOps team. Come get coaching from other enablement professionals. And so you feel the confidence to be able to raise your hand and say, this is something that we can fix.
Yep. Gail, I think what you just said is so brilliant in so many ways, because we have to be situationally aware at the end of the day. Who is our audience, right? And I agree with you, where I love all coaching and things of that nature. And I just, love all the conversations, right? Because that real change happens and you can see and feel and hear on somebody's face, like the click that takes place. You're like, yes. And you know there's a really great outcome at the end of the day. But a CRO doesn't want to hear any of that. The board doesn't want to hear any of that at first. Like that you have to lead with numbers and then kind of fill in the blanks, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. Well, you also mentioned there going to your network. So tell us a little bit about Revenue Enablement Society as well.
Thank you. I'm so passionate about it. For the last year up until Christmas, I was the president of the Revenue Enablement Society. Elizabeth Marino has taken over as president. The society has existed as the only nonprofit for revenue enablement professionals since 2017.
Yeah.
And so there's an amazing community. There are chapters in many cities. There's tons of online events, webinars, places that you can connect with other professionals. They've got a Slack channel coming soon. And the goal is just to foster those communication lines, to make sure that enablement professionals know we're not alone, because this is an emerging profession.
Yeah.
And so earlier this week, I had my team offsite here in Chicago. I had my entire enablement team come here, and we did a hackathon with 15 people from the enablement community in Chicago.
Nice.
And my team, it was fabulous. My team is a little on the younger side, and so they haven't met a lot of other people who do what we do. And so to take those opportunities for your teams, reaching out in the community, setting those a lunch and learn or a hackathon, you can do it easily online. You can invite me to say, can I come talk to your team? Absolutely. I have folks who come talk to my team on a regular basis. Those are opportunities that you can use and leverage and build community. I joke when I first started in enablement, I was an absolute like imposter syndrome. I had been a freelance VP of sales for hire, but I really didn't know the nomenclature of enablement. I didn't come from an L&D background. And so when I started, I signed up for the SEC chat, the Slack channel. And every time somebody posted something I thought was interesting, I sent them a Slack and I said, that's fascinating. I'd love to learn more. I'll give you a Starbucks gift card if you'll spend 15 minutes with me. And to a T, nobody said no. Nobody took me up on the Starbucks card.
Yes.
And every meeting was at least half an hour, and there are people I still talk to. And at the end of it, and this is what I coach people all the time, at the end of that, I would say, who can I connect you with? Who can you connect me with? Based on our conversation, who in your network should I talk to?
Yeah.
And that has been a massive uplift to my career and my knowledge. And I highly advocate, if you're in enablement, don't try to figure it all out on your own. You won't be able to. There's just too many pieces and parts. My team, like I said, runs the whole bow tie. We do sales, we do customer support, we do customer success. We do everything end to end. That is huge. And I need experts who know each part of that part of the bow tie. And they can't just be internal. We have to bring folks in too.
Absolutely. We all have blind spots to that point, Gail, and we're certainly not all good at everything. And we're not supposed to be, you know, so yeah, when we do workshops, we do an exercise of what am I good at and what do I like to do? And we literally go around the room and have people share. And the visualization of that, right? I go, I want you to look around and go, think about something you have going on right now and who at this table can you work with? Because if we do call out specifically to your point and speak it, right, as adults, we don't know. And so it's this really great exercise of verbal acuity and getting to know each other and this knowledge of it takes a lot of people to make something happen. We are so much better together at the end of the day. So learning how to communicate and collaborate is worth its weight in gold, I think, in 2025 and beyond at this point, for sure.
You know what, as you're saying that, I would love a feature on LinkedIn. Please go pitch this. I would love a feature on LinkedIn where next to your profile is like your Ikigai profile. And in fact, how fast could you get to know me reading that? What an amazing thing that would be to have.
Oh, that would be fun.
Right?
That would be super fun. Well, thank you for taking time. I know you're just coming off an offsite, so I appreciate you coming on our show and sharing your wisdom. It's wonderful. Thank you. Where can people find you, Headway, and Revenue Enablement Society?
Everything's on LinkedIn. So come to me. You'll see the Rev Enablement Society posted all over, but there is a specific page for that on LinkedIn or RES society.global. You'll find the website, really easy to find. I'm thrilled to connect with folks on LinkedIn and have more conversations, and then continue to connect you with other people that will build your networks as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gail. Really appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you're connecting with Gail. Watch the replay. I know some of you registered, couldn't make it today. I know it's 10 o'clock Pacific time on a Friday morning. But watch the replay. We're going live to my LinkedIn profile as well as the Revenue by Design YouTube channel. We have all of our episodes there for you. Make sure you're connecting with us. Make sure you're tuning in. We have Chris Baden from FlowChat joining us, Sabina Pons from Growth Molecules. We have Coach K from Momentum joining us. Pete from, oh gosh, I'm just blanked on his name, Atrium. We've got a really great lineup of folks coming in, sharing their knowledge and, quite frankly, tools we should all be aware of in the age of AI and how to use it. All right, everybody, make it a good one. Gail, thank you again so much. Appreciate you. And I hope everybody has a great day and weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.
There you have it.